So, there I was. It's 1:15 p.m. My alarm didn't go off for the day, and I overslept. Anyway, that was this morning. I don't know why I told you that. No real reason. Anyway, so, there I was. In my room, in my house, and I was thinking about which video I wanted to do today. And I had an idea. I had an idea for a video that involved, probably what you can gather from the title. I wanted to rank the Pokemon champions because, these are characters that have a lot of attention on them. They're very iconic for many of them. And, yeah, I don't know, they play a really, they're kind of the final boss of sorts in the main game. And so they're very important to the Pokemon story. However, I wanted to make this a little bit more interesting for myself and maybe for you guys. And so I had this idea and I thought, all right, what if I went through and I ranked the Pokemon champions by how good I think they would be given their teams in an actual competitive Pokemon? So I'm sure people have ranked these guys before on how, how good they are, how hard they are to beat, like from a casual player perspective. But I'm thinking, okay, how hard would these guys be to beat, or how good would they be? How good would their teams be if they had to play VGC or competitive Pokemon? So we're going to assume doubles, item clause, 4v4, okay? And we'll get, because like some of these teams aren't VGC legal, we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt in some cases, but yeah. So general rules are, I'm going to be treating these as if they're all in Generation 8. I'm going to like kind of, because, for some Pokemon like Generation 1, they don't have, like abilities or items and stuff. So we'll give them the benefit of the doubt in that regard. Maybe we can give some items as well. And we're also going to be treating it as if like their metagame, because they only have access to the Pokemon in their game. So we're going to treat like that as their metagame. So for example, for Blue, the first person on our list, we're going to treat it as if like, okay, he's playing Generation 8, so we're going to give his Pokemon abilities. And also, we're going to say, okay, it's not like I can use, like, I don't know, Tapu Bulu against him, right? It's not like he's playing in a metagame with Tapu Bulu. No, he's playing in only a metagame with the Pokemon in his game, which are the original 151. So, with those being the conditions, of course, this is all subjective, but let's get started. So let's look at the first team. This is Blue's original team. He's got Pidgeot with Wing Attack, Mirror Move, Sky Attack, and Whirlwind. He has Alakazam with Psybeam, Psychic, Reflect, and Recover. He has Rhydon with Leer, Tail Whip, Horn Drill, and Fury Attack. Arcanine with Roar, Leer, Ember, and Takedown. Executor with only 3 attacks, Hypnosis, Barrage, and Stomp, and then Blastoise, Charizard, or Venusaur. The team will change slightly depending. He'll always have a Fire, Water, Grass core. Yeah. So I think if you take Venusaur, then it's Gyarados, and if you take Charizard, then it's Charizard over Arcanine, or yeah, Gyarados over Blastoise, and then Venusaur over Executor. So yeah, you guys understand. So Blastoise is the last Pokemon here: Hydro Pump, Blizzard, Bite, and Withdraw. So let's talk about this team, because I think this one is interesting. Obviously there weren't as many moves back then, so I feel like we can give him a bit of the benefit of the doubt here and say, all right, let's assume that he has better moves than Ember, right? Let's give Arcanine Flamethrower. We can up the moves a little bit in general. I'm okay with that because it's not exactly fair. We'll be more lenient with the early trainers than the later ones. So assuming that you only have 151 Pokemon, I really like this team. It has good Fire, Water, Grass synergy. It has Alakazam, who's very fast, and obviously is like a powerful Pokemon as well. If you were to give Alakazam like a Focus Sash, I think it could be good. He could use Rhydon with Eviolite, and Pidgeot isn't a great Pokemon, but if, for example, you gave it Tailwind, I think this would actually be pretty solid. You would have Blastoise for offense, or Gyarados for offense. That would also be solid. Executor, if you gave it different moves, I think would actually be pretty good. Like Executor with like Hypnosis, or with Leech Seed and Harvest with Citrus Berry, I think, and Giga Drain is a pretty strong set. Citrus Berry, Harvest, Giga Drain, Leech Seed, Protect, Psychic, for example, I think could be good. Obviously, Ghost and Dark types are a little problematic here. You have Pidgeot as an immunity, but yeah, Blastoise is pretty bulky. So I don't know. Overall, I think for its time, this is a pretty good team. I definitely think this is an S or an A tier ranked team, in my opinion. So we're going to put Blue up in the A tier. I hope that seems fair to everybody. Yeah, overall, like, he's got a lot of good Pokemon. The stats are good. Like, he's taken some of the best Pokemon from the original 151. Obviously, it's not fair to give him legendary Pokemon like Zapdos. So, I don't know. I think this is a pretty solid team overall. Next up, let's talk about Red. So, Red is probably one of the most famous Pokemon champions. He's got his Pikachu, which is very... Oh, we're also assuming everything is level 50. So, he's got Pikachu, Espeon, Snorlax, Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoids. This is an interesting team, honestly. You have Pikachu. who, you know, in this generation could Gigantamax. Charizard could also Gigantamax and still could Snorlax. I don't know. I actually like this team. You could do Pledges with Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur. Espeon's a pretty fast Pokemon, so that's not terrible at all. And you see, he gave it Reflect, which is a pretty nice move. Yeah. Again, it's like the thing is that like it's kind of frail. This strikes me as more of a hyper offense team with like Snorlax. But he could you know build it in a way that would actually be interesting. I think. If I were to build this team nowadays, I think I would just rely really heavily on Pledges. Maybe for like either for speed control or, you know, for the big offensive boosts that it gets. But yeah, I don't know. Like the team's not that slow. It has Espeon and Charizard and Venusaur. If you can find a way of setting Sun, could be good. You could even, if you want to do regular Dynamax Charizard and not Gigantamax, and that would allow you to set the Sun. Oh, Venusaur, he actually gave Sunny Day too. So yeah, Venusaur could also set up for Charizard if you wanted to keep that. I don't know. I think the team is interesting. It's not. I don't think it's the worst. Like when we've seen, I don't think it's amazing. I think you would struggle to do well with this team on the ladder, or in, you know, even in a metagame with only Gen 1 and Gen 2 Pokemon. I think it would still be difficult because the addition of Pokemon is Tyranitar Gen 2. Oh my God, it is, right? Yeah, this team doesn't have much for Tyranitar. Yeah, I would say this is like an okay team. I like it. I think it's cool, but I don't think you can justify putting it that high. So we'll put it in the B tier. I think that's fair. All right, I never played Let's Go, and I don't know who this is. But apparently they're a champion, and their name is Trace. So they have Mega Pidgeot. Everything has 3 attacks. First of all, that's already a strike against this person. Mega Pidgeot, Vileplume, Marowak, Rapidash, Slowbro, and Jolteon. So looking at this team, it's pretty slow. It's like in 2 minds. It's got Pidgeot and Jolteon and Rapidash, which are all relatively fast. But then Vileplume, Marowak, and Slowbro are all super slow. So it has like this nice trick room mode. I don't love this team. I'm gonna be completely honest. First of all, there's no abilities in Let's Go, so like we can give them a little slack. But Marowak plus Jolteon definitely get in the way of each other. Yeah, I don't know why they only have 3 moves as well. I honestly don't know. Mega Pidgeot actually isn't bad in the Gen 1 only metagame. I think you have like you could do Tailwind if you wanted. You could do Hurricane with no guard. Oh wait, it doesn't have an ability. Well, if it had an ability, we'd give it no guard. I don't understand why some Pokemon though, like Vileplume and Rapidash, are here. Also, with no Held Item, Marowak is really bad. But okay, let's give him the benefit of the doubt, right? Let's say, okay, Marowak has Stick Club. Pidgeot has this Mega Stone. Jolteon has Focus Sash. It's okay. It's not the worst team I've seen. I mean, in Gen 1, you have to give people a little bit of slack because, like, they don't have all the Pokemon available, you know? But even still, a lot of these Pokemon could be better, right? Like, Vileplume doesn't really add anything that Venusaur doesn't. Rapidash, I don't really know why it's here. Could be Arcanine. Slowbro's okay, and Marowak is okay. Or, like, they're okay Pokemon. And Jolteon's not terrible either. Nor is Pidgeot. I mean, if we were playing in Gen 8, we wouldn't have Mega Evolution. So I guess we have to treat this as if it's regular Pidgeot. Yeah. So all in all, I think this team is kind of bad. I'm gonna put it in the D tier. I just think you could do a lot better with what you were given. So that's what I think about Trace. I don't know. It's tricky because like you have to think about only in a doubles Gen 1 metagame. So it could, I don't know, it would be very different than anything I've ever played. But it's just speculation. It's just for fun, okay? This is just for fun. So that's what I think. I think Trace is bad. Next up, we have Blue. Oh, Gary? Wait, I have 2. Oh, right. Oh, right. Okay, so Gary actually has 3. These are the 3 teams for Gary. I don't think this changes my analysis because I talked about it. But yeah, we should have moved that over here. Yeah, okay, so this is Gary / Blue. Wait, are Gary and Blue the same person? Now I'm confused. You can see Blastoise is the last one. So that's just the full teams. You can take a look at it. We talked about Trace. Let's talk next about Lance. So this is Gen 2 champion. Lance breaks Species Clause really badly. I'm just gonna be honest. He has 3 Dragonites. So okay. I like Lance as a character. I think Lance is a great champion. I think, you know, the idea of having a Dragon-type champion that has, you know, only 1 Dragon-type on his team is interesting. I don't know. I like it thematically. I like it for a lot of reasons. But if we're talking about Lance in a competitive sense, what are you doing, Lance? Why do 2 of the Dragonites have the same move pool, and the last one is Outrage, Hyper Beam, Fire? I guess that's the boss Dragonite. So let's talk about Lance. We'll give him. Okay. First of all, let's give him Intimidate and Gyarados. Let's give him Multi-Scale on his Dragonites. Lance has no Rock Resist on his team. Tyranitar, Excadrill, anything with Rock Slide is going to demolish this team. Aerodactyl is really frail. Oh, wait, we don't have to worry about X-Control, because this is right. This is Gen 2, right? Gen 2, Gen 2, Gen 2. Tyranitar would demolish this team. He has 4 ice weaknesses. He has, like, 3 electric weaknesses. Like, every Pokemon on his team is a flying type, so even though he's technically a dragon type champion, he's actually a flying type champion. And this significantly hurts his ability to do well, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, the good thing is that his Pokemon are strong. The bad thing is that he has no defensive synergy and also 3 Dragonites. And 2 of them are the same. So in a 4v4 match, like, I guess you could bring 2 of the same Thunder Wave spamming Dragonite, which I actually like. I mean, you could run other moves here as well. I don't know. I think this is kind of bad. Yeah, I think Lance is actually really, really garbage. And to be clear, I like Lance. I really like Lance as a champion. I think he's one of the coolest champions. But his team in a double battle format, in a competitive format, I don't think would do very well. He has no defensive synergy. The instant he loses his momentum, he's just lost. I'm sorry, Lance. I feel bad. I mean, people are going to be angry about that one. Okay. Let's talk about Steven. Steven Stone, who's a Steel-type champion. Kind of, yeah, Steel-type champion. He's got Skarmory with Steel Wing, Toxic Aerial Ace, and Spikes. Claydol with Earthquake, Ancient Power, Light Screen, Reflect. Aggron with Earthquake, Dragon Claw, Thunder, and Solar Beam. Cradilly with Ancient Power, Confuse Ray, Sludge Bomb, and Giga Drain. Armaldo with... Wait, does everything have Ancient Power? No, only the fossils. And Claydol. Armaldo with Ancient Power, Slash, Aerial Ace, and Water Pulse. And then Metagross with Meteor Mash, Earthquake, Psychic, and Hyper Beam. So... Steven is a singles player. Steven is the singles player who just got into VGC and wants to build a stall team and hasn't yet realized that it's not going to work, and we're really sorry about it. In terms of resistances, he's lacking, specifically to water. Cradilly has Storm Drain though, so that will help a lot. And even though he's got a lot of Steel type Pokemon, he actually only has 2 ground type weaknesses, and he also has 2 immunities. And he only has 2 fighting weaknesses, and he has 1 resistance as well. So obviously he did a pretty good job with his typing. My main gripe with this team, it's so slow, and you have no real means of speed control. Like, I guess you can use Skarmory's Tailwind or something, and Claydol has Trick Room, but, like, it's just not reliable enough. Again, a Pokemon like Tyranitar would be really hard to beat, like, or not necessarily hard to beat, because you do have Metagross and Aggron. And Aggron is a really good physically bulky Pokemon, but yeah, like, any Pokemon with ground coverage is immediately going to put pressure on this team. And... I don't know. Like, there's no defensive synergy, or there's not, well, I wouldn't say there's no. Like, this is definitely much better than Lance in terms of defensive synergy. But a lot of the Pokemon struggle with offense, right? You have Claydol, who isn't very offensive. You have Cradilly, who's not offensive, and Skarmory, who's not offensive. So, like, it's a stall team. Like, it's honestly a stall team. It's like a Toxic Recover Cradilly, a Roost, physically defensive Skarmory. It wouldn't be, like, terrible necessarily. I think it's better than Lance. But it's not great. It's only a little bit better than Lance, I think. Yeah, like, this team is just... I don't know. Like, it's just like, I don't understand how it does damage. I don't understand how it deals with speed control. You have to rely super hard on Claydol for Trick Room or Skarmory for Tailwind, and if that goes down, you're just probably going to be at, like, a speed disadvantage for the entire game. And that's not great. You don't want to be at a disadvantage in terms of speed. Especially, like... These Pokemon are bulky, but they're not bulky for doubles. You know, like, they can take 1 attack for, like, a turn and, like, fire back. But if you're taking 2 attacks, so you have the opportunity to, like, knock your Pokemon out first. I don't know. I think it could be pretty hard. So I think Steven did an okay job. I think it's kind of unfair to, like, rank him low because, like, he's probably a D tier. He's probably a D tier, yeah. Like, I feel bad ranking him low because he obviously put a lot of thought into his team, but he built for singles, and this is doubles ranking. So sorry, Steven. Next up, we have Wallace, who's a... What did they do to Milotic? Whoa. Wallace wants to build a rain team, but he doesn't have a Drizzle user, so it's going to be the first thing that's difficult. We've got Wailord, Tentacruel, Ludicolo, Wishcash, Gyarados, and Milotic. Wallace wanted to use water types, and he succeeded. This is tricky. So, water... is a good type because it only has 2 weaknesses. The first is electric and the second is grass. If we look at this team, we see there's 4 electric weaknesses and only 2 grass weaknesses. So grass, 3 grass weaknesses. So the problem is that a good electric type Pokemon would really roll this team. I don't think you're without answers. Like, you have Wishcash. Tentacruel's really specially bulky, and most electric users are special. You have Ludicolo, who could... In this team, you're probably going to use Rain Dance to try and do well. Ludicolo does a pretty good job against a lot of the common electric users. this is the game with Rotom, so you have to watch out for Rotom, I guess. But yeah, I don't think this is terrible. Like, Water's a really good typing, both defensively and offensively. There aren't that many resistances to Water, and a lot of Water types get coverage moves, like Gyarados gets Bounce. Water types get Ice Beam in general. You can do fun things with Wailord with Water Spout, like, that's interesting. But yeah, against electric types, it'll be pretty hard, or especially against electric type coverage moves. But the nice thing is that Tentacruel and Milotic are both really bulky, so even though, like, they're weak to electric, they're both very specially bulky, so you could do some interesting things, and, like, it wouldn't just be an auto loss, for example. I think this team's okay, actually, even though its typing is technically worse than either Steven or Lance. It feels better, you know, even though Lance has 6 flying types and this is 6 water types. I'm going to rank Wallace a bit higher, because first of all, he has Pokemon that are threatening. He has Milotic, who is threatening with competitive. He has Gyarados, who is threatening in general with Dragon Dance. He has Ludicolo, who could be a Life Orb set, or be an Assault Vest set, which is threatening. Tentacruel and Wishcash are both somewhat bulky and can do okay. I think I could do okay with this team if I had it in a Gen 3. Oh, it's Gen 3. Oh, he doesn't even have to worry about Rotom. Yeah, oh yeah, that's even better. Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, I think this team is solid. Like, not great. I'm going to put him in C tier. That's a C tier team if I ever saw one. Let's talk about my girl, Cynthia. Lucario, Roserade, Spiritomb, Milotic, Garchomp, and Gastrodon. In my opinion, this is the best team we've seen. Cynthia has a great spread of speed. She's got Garchomp and Roserade and Lucario, who are all relatively fast. Like, her speeds are just really good across the board. Garchomp is really fast. Roserade's almost as fast. Lucario is almost as fast. Then you have Milotic. Then both Spiritomb and Gastrodon are slow. Spiritomb doesn't have to worry about Fairy types this generation, although actually they retroactively added Fairy types in Gen 4. Like, so... But even still, I don't know. I think Spiritomb's a cool Pokemon. It's pretty bulky and can be annoying. You could do Sucker Punch and Will-O-Wisp with it to support the team. Garchomp's an amazing Pokemon. Milotic, as we talked about, is also really good. Gastrodon, I mean, on the one hand, Gastrodon doesn't look amazing here because, like, you're not really worried about water types with this team, so having Storm Drain doesn't help you that much. However, you could, like, do stuff where you surf yourself. I think Lucario gets surfed, but Garchomp and Milotic definitely get it, so you could have that as an option if you wanted to, like, go for, like, a setup Gastrodon. You could do, like, Stockpile, Recover, Earth Power, and Scald, and then you could pair it with, like, a surf user and just try and win the game with it. Just as, like, an alternate win condition, you know? I wish Cynthia had a fire type, but we're going to cut her some slack. Lucario is good. She does not have a beat-up user on this team, so she can't do stuff with Lucario that way, but Lucario is still a good Pokemon. And you don't need a Focus Sash on anything else, so you could do Focus Sash there. You could do Swords Dance or Nasty Plot if you wanted. Yeah. No Intimidate user is a bit of a drag as well, but Milotic, like, it's fine. And Roserade's actually really scary, especially in a metagame like Gen 4, I think. You get access to Sleep Powder, which is really good. Well, yeah, Sleep Powder is the main selling point. Oh, yeah, actually, Roserade should probably be Focus Sash, but you could do something else with Lucario. Yeah, and Roserade Garchomp, if you're able to, like, slow things down with Sleep Powder and get a Swords Dance off, I think it could be really dangerous. Garchomp in a Dynamax metagame would be really strong. So, yeah, for that reason, I actually think Cynthia is the best team we've seen. I'm going to put her in S tier. Which just makes sense. If I was ranking these champions by, like, difficulty to beat, I'd probably put Cynthia in the S tier anyway. So, yeah, that's what I think about Cynthia. Next, let's talk about this guy. Alder. So Alder, we're going to say only, this is like VGC 2011, where only Unova Pokemon were allowed. And I actually know a bit about VGC 2011. So he has Volcarona with Quiver Dance, which is really scary. Excelgor, Volcarona, Bouffalant, Druddigon, Vanillix, and Escavalier. So if we talk about speeds, he's kind of similar to Cynthia in that he has Excelgor and Volcarona. Excelgor is super fast. Then you have Volcarona who's base 100. Vanillix is pretty fast. Bouffalant is in the mid speed. Druddigon and Escavalier are both pretty slow. This team is okay. 2011 had a lot of better Pokemon that he could have used. Jellicent, Chandelure, Amoonguss. Terrakion and Thundurus were obviously really good. Conkeldurr, Hydreigon. He doesn't use any of those Pokemon. Volcarona is good, but it wasn't actually that good in 2011. Because it doesn't have a lot of support here. So if I'm looking at this team, even though Excelgor's fast, it's not actually that good. Here, its best bet is honestly to Final Gambit something and try and take it out, I think. Yeah. He doesn't have an easy way of activating Unburden either. Vanillix's Hail will get in the way of Excelgor a bit. And he doesn't have great resistances. Like, he has 3 rock weaknesses and no resistances. Yeah, Water, he doesn't have a resistance. Oh, he has Druddigon, I guess. Yeah. This team's alright. I wouldn't say it's very good. I don't think it would do super well, if we're going to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have that much to say about this team. Like, it just doesn't feel super strong to me. Like, it's okay. You could do stuff with like Fake or Acid Spray Excelgor and then like Volcarona or Vanillix. You could do Scarf Vanillix and have it outspeed stuff and do Acid Spray like that. And you do get Overcoat Escavalier to protect yourself from hail, but overall, there's no speed control on this team. And without speed control, like these 3 Pokemon, the Druddigon, Bufalon, and Escavalier, they're just gonna be suffering. And Excelgor is not bulky enough. Honestly, neither Excelgor nor Vanillix and even Volcarona, like they aren't bulky enough to stick around for that long. So you're gonna have to rely on your other Pokemon. So he's better than Lance, I think, but he's not very good. That's my assessment. Next up, we have Iris. So we're gonna talk about Gen 5 Pokemon that are good. This is what Alder's team should maybe have looked at. Like, she actually has Life Orb. I think that's really funny. She has Life Orb Druddigon, Hydreigon, Archeops, Aggron, Lapras, and Haxorus. Okay, so Black 2 and White 2, you get more Pokemon. Okay. This team's alright. She at least has a Rock Resistance, so she has added... I guess, okay, yeah, okay. 2 Rock Weaknesses, 1 Rock Resistance. It's 1, 2 Fighting, 3 Fighting Weaknesses, no Resistances. It's okay. I'd say this team is marginally better than Alder's team, Iris. But it's not amazing. Lapras could be Parasong. You could do like a hyper-offensive team with like Haxorus, Archeops, and Hydreigon to break things in the early game, and then try and win with Parasong in the late game. This is, again, 3 fast, 3 slow Pokemon. Archeops, Hydreigon, and Haxorus are relatively fast, and then Lapras, Aggron, and Druddigon are all pretty slow. The nice thing is that Lapras could Gigantamax and provide support for the rest of the team, so it's not terrible. Like, Lapras Hydreigon could be okay, and Lapras... Like, Aggron probably gets pretty bulky under Aurora Veil. So, yeah. I think this team is okay. I'm gonna say it's slightly better than Alder. Yeah, I'm gonna put Iris in the C tier. Slightly better than Alder, slightly better than, I think, Steven and Trace, but not that good overall. Definitely not as good as Red's team. So, yeah, Archeops' Defeatist also really hurts here. It's just not a good ability. And the Hydreigon and Haxorus don't add anything. Like, they don't add enough, you know, on their own. Okay. N, another Gen 5 champion. How many champions do we have in Gen 5? Apparently a ton. Zekrom, Caracosta, Vanillix, Zoroark, Archeops, and Klinklang. So, the Zekrom makes this hard to rank because are we saying, okay, is Kyurem and Reshiram allowed? Because and also is Reshiram, that's the other option. I chose Zekrom because I thought it was stronger. Let's say Reshiram is, let's say other people can use Reshiram or Kyurem as well. Although, that just makes it, I don't know, that just makes it tricky. I don't know, and N is hard to rank because of the Zekrom. Let's ignore Zekrom for a moment and talk about the rest of the team. This is a hyper-offense team. He's got Klinklang, he's got Zoroark, he's got Archeops, Vanillix, and Caracosta. Caracosta is actually somewhat of a threatening Pokemon in Gen 5 because it gets Shell Smash, and if you're not prepared for it and you don't get rid of it fast enough, like, you could just lose. It has Sturdy, so it doesn't need to run, like, Focus Sash or anything, so you don't, because you have Sturdy, you don't need to run, White Herb either. And Zoroark makes things tricky overall. However, we can't ignore the fact that N does have either Zekrom or Reshiram, so, yeah, it just makes it hard to rank. If other people had, but let's say everyone else could have either Zekrom or Reshiram, he would actually have a lot of tools for it. He has Caracosta for Reshiram, who does a pretty good job. He has Vanillix for Zekrom. He has Archeops, who does okay versus both. He has at least a dragon-resistant Klinklang, so it's not terrible. The problem is a lot of these Pokemon are offensive. Like, this is a hyper-offense team with Caracosta and Klinklang, but the other 4 or 3 are hyper-offensive. I don't know. I think it could be okay. I think this team is okay. I don't think I'd put him... Let's take a look at our list. I don't think it's as good as Iris. You know what? It's probably as good as Iris. Like, he's got Zekrom at least. I would say, like, if we're going for, like... I don't know. Yeah, he's at least as good as Wallace. Like, definitely. He's got to be at least as good as Wallace, right? Yeah. He's probably as good as Wallace, yeah. And maybe slightly worse than Iris, but not as bad as Alder or Steven or Trace. So, yeah, that's N. We have a couple left. Wait, we should have 3 left. Oh, right, Kukui's not on here. Okay, now we have Diantha. So, Diantha has Hawlucha, Tyrantrum, Aurorus, Gardevoir, Goodra, and Georgeist. So, she has... I was going to say 3 dragons, but it's only true. It's only 2, excuse me. Goodra, Tyrantrum, Hawlucha, Aurorus, Gardevoir, and Gourgeist. So, she has a couple things going for her. She can Trick Room with Gourgeist, which is interesting. She can Trick Room with Gourgeist and Gardevoir. She is Mega Gardevoir, but that wouldn't be happening in Gen 8, so sorry. It's tough. Okay, so you have a Trick Room option, and you have Aurora's, like, you have Aurora's Gourgeist for Trick Room, and Tyrantrum as well. You could run either Scarf Tyrantrum or a slow one. And then, yeah, you could just Gourgeist and Gardevoir and Trick Room, or you could do Scarf Gardevoir if you wanted. You have Goodra, who probably holds Assault Vest and is pretty bulky. You have Hawlucha, who could be interesting. You could run, like, Hawlucha with maybe... How could you... You could maybe find a way of activating your own Hawlucha. I think this team's actually okay. Like, the weaknesses to fighting is annoying with the double fossil Pokemon. However, the fighting weaknesses, you have 3 resistances, which is okay. You have 4 ice... Oh, God. You have 4 ice weaknesses, so that's pretty bad. However, a lot of your ice weaknesses can handle the ice types. Like, you could use Max Flare with Goodra or Fire Blast. Gourgeist is pretty bulky. Tyrantrum, you can, survive. And Hawlucha, you get fighting moves as well. So, yeah, I think that's okay. Aurora's could be Snow Warning, or it could be Refrigerate. Both are pretty good. It gets Freeze Dry as well for water types, which is actually really valuable in this team. I think this is okay. Like, I think this team is alright. It's a Gen 6 metagame, so... I think this team is okay. I would give this team an okay out of 10. I think this is a B tier team. And honestly, looking at her, from what I remember, I would have expected to rank her lower. But in doubles, I think she did okay actually. Scarf Gardevoir gives you options. Honestly, it's the Gourgeist. The Gourgeist is the saving grace of this team, because giving like a Trick Room option to a team like this, with like these kind of slower or Pokemon that could go either way, like Tyrantrum and Goodra, I think it could be interesting for sure. So you could do, I don't know if Aurora's gets Ice Shard, but if you could do like Ice Shard Weakness Policy Hawlucha, that would be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's some interesting things here. So yeah, this is a B tier team. We're 2 left. Next up is Kukui with Incineroar, Lycanroc, Ninetales, Braviary, Snorlax, and Magnezone. Incineroar could also be Primarina or Dekidui, but Incineroar is the best one, so I added it. This team's alright. You get something that was good actually in 2017. You get the Ninetales and Snorlax core, and the reason that's good is because Snorlax can Belly Drum and Ninetales can set Aurora Veil. You also get Braviary, who gets Defiant, which is pretty valuable. And you get Incineroar. And Magnezone was actually pretty good in 2017 as well. So, this metagame would be like 2017. It's okay, actually. It's not terrible. It's actually not terrible. Lycanroc isn't great, but actually, I almost lost to a Lycanroc at Worlds, so maybe I shouldn't talk smack. Yeah, because it's Splintered Storm Shards or whatever, it's actually an interesting Pokemon. Oh, wait, did I lose an 18? I almost lost an 18, not 17. That's right. Yeah. I don't know. I think with Intimidate, Incineroar, and Snorlax and Ninetales, you actually have a really good defensive core. Especially in Generation 8, you can do Aurora Veil and Parting Shot into Snorlax and then go for Setup Snorlax. You also have good speed control in Braviary. So Braviary's Tailwind helps out Braviary and Magnezone and Incineroar, allowing them to move first. I think this team is actually okay. And Lycanroc is actually somewhat offensive. It's in the wrong for me, but let's assume we can change the for me, because we'll give it to him. And we can do the midday for me, which is the best for me. Yeah, I think this team could actually be alright. You got a couple fast Pokemon in Ninetales and Lycanroc. You've got Braviary. You have Magnezone, who actually offers a lot of resistances to the team that you wouldn't have otherwise, like Electric. And Steel, it adds another Steel resistance as well. Yeah, 4 fighting weaknesses and no resist is kind of bad, but you have offensive Pokemon that can handle it, and you also have Intimidate and Aurora Veil. So yeah, I would put this team in the B tier. It's not on my tier list, but just pretend that it goes here with this lady, Diantha. So yeah. And last but not least, we have Leon. Leon has Aegislash, Dragapult, which is actually something that's picked up steam. Haxorus, Seismitoad, G-Max Charizard, and Cinderace, or... Wait, what are the other ones? No, not Primarina. Cinderace, or... The other starters are... Greninja, just no... Rillaboom, or... Big Sobble, and Teleon. I actually think Rillaboom's the most threatening one here. This is a really good team. Like, this is actually a good team. Dragapult and Aegislash give you the option of doing, like, Shadow Sneak yourself and Weakness Policy. You got G-Max Charizard, who's really threatening, and you can do a Fire, Water, Grass core with Seismitoad, Rillaboom, and Charizard. And Rillaboom actually isn't bad. It gets Fake Out and Knockoff. It adds a ground resistance as well, which is nice, because Aegislash is weak to ground. So it gives you better synergy across the board. You can do actually interesting things with Seismitoad. Seismitoad, I think, is an okay Pokemon. You can set the rain for yourself using Max Geyser, and then you'll have an offensive Pokemon. You can use Max Ooze as well. Haxorus is probably the weakest member of this team, but it's actually not a terrible Pokemon at all. And I think you could do some interesting things with it. You could also do a Scarf Haxorus and try and use it to, like, surprise things and get, like, I don't know, some weird, some janky KOs and stuff. So, yeah, overall, I actually think Leon is actually really good. I think that Leon, yeah, is legitimately very good. So I'm going to put him with Cynthia up in the S tier. We're going to delete this tier. Delete row. Yeah, cool. And that's it. That's the whole team. Or that's the whole tier list. So, in conclusion, we have Cynthia and Leon in S tier. Blue or Gary, I'm not sure which one he is, in the A tier. Red, Cynthia, and I believe I put Kukui in the B tier. Wallace, Iris, and N in the C tier. Trace, Lance, and Alder in the D tier. Or no, Trace, Steven, and Alder in the D tier, and then Lance in the E tier. So, that's the list. That's how good I think every Pokemon champion would be if they played VGC in a format similar to their game's format. Let me know what you guys think. I hope this was entertaining. I hope you found this interesting. And I think that's it. Let me know if you want to see more content like this from me. And I'll see you next time. Peace.